Hi there, Deadeye Delboy here, back with another video, and we're going to be focusing on Daily Race B. It's in the Super Formula cars, it's at Mt Fuji, and you can see here we jumped in, we're on our alt account, it's our second account, and we're going to go across the line, say a 23.5, and see where that puts us in this lobby. Now, this lobby is absolutely bizarre because we've got the whole range of ratings. We've got A+, we've got Bs, we've got SRS, we've got SRBs, we've also got Super GT running from the back of the grid. So there is an enormous amount of unknowns and ability for chaos to reign supreme in this particular race. So off to an interesting start. I forgot to put traction control on, so we get kind of jumped off the line by none other than Super GT himself as he drives through a Frenchman who's ghosted out. Scotty coming back onto the track there. We narrowly avoid the contact there, and we have kind of survived, although the Frenchman, as he rejoins, makes a little bit of side contact with us here. So this race is all about survival on lap 1. It's absolutely chaotic, and whilst that chaos reigns, and whilst we chase down the GOAT Super GT, you can subscribe to this channel. Pushes on towards, well, 6,500 I think would be the next major milestone, so it would be great if you could do that whilst we punt Super GT twice there. You know, you could celebrate by subscribing. If not, then, well, thanks for watching anyway. But off to the right there you can see max power. Everybody's getting penalties. We've somehow not got a penalty. To be honest with you, I think it was just pinball. Well, I know it was just the pinball effects there from when Super GT came to an abrupt halt. We hit him. There was somebody else with a spectacular visit to barrier, 360 spin and back onto the track. You can see here as we quickly go past a few people serving the penalties, one of whom was indeed Super GT. So we've managed to get ourselves up to P8, and that's reasonably successful, I would suggest, considering we started P12. We've avoided most of the chaos, and we've got Scotty in front of us now. So what can I say about this race? It is absolutely insane. Do not attempt to do this race on your main account if you value your SR and DR, because this has got DR resets and SR resets written all over it, mainly because people aren't really appreciating the power of these cars and the immense stopping power of these cars. People are just coming to complete halts in front of you for no apparent reason, and also spinning and losing it on the acceleration. So yeah, it's just one of these races. It's utter chaos. It's only 6 laps, so being a sprint race, people are not prepared to sit and wait for positions to come to them. Basically it's elbows out, just go for it. You can see here the fellow Brit coming right across my face with that one there. Insert innuendo joke as you please. But again, we've survived another lap, and this being my first race on this combination, I was just happy to survive. And you can see we're being chased down now by a couple of very quick drivers in the form of Max Power and Super GT, so we'll see if we can fend them off as Scotty gets absolutely sent one on there. He's now back to P7. So yeah, the Brit in P6 is well, he's not shy, let's just say that. Don't know if he's got something to prove here, but we then almost lose it, and you can see Max narrowly avoids us, and Super GT just breezes past us. So yeah, just when you think you've got things under control, you've not got things under control. That's the kind of that's just the mantra for this particular race. So find ourselves now back in P10, midway through lap 3. So we're just going to try and do our best to stay with the pack for the rest of this race and see if we can maybe pick up some positions. We've got a little bit of a gap to the car behind, but I was just kind of trying to settle in at this point, see if I could get somewhere near my qualifying time in race pace, see how quick I was in comparison to others who had probably done this race more than once. You can see over on the left there, Max Power just with an absolutely insane rejoin there, and it's all, well, it looks like it's all kicking off up ahead, but we're going to join this slipstream snake as we head down to turn 1, hoping for some carnage to take place, but at this point we're starting to understand where to brake when it comes to turn 1. You can see everybody kind of getting round pretty safely, well, as safe as you can get around here, so you can see how the race can settle down, and there is some good racing to be had as we go purple there. That was the other thing. It did take a little while as somebody exits stage left there. What a spectacular visit to barrier that was. But it did actually take me a little while to remember that I had boost. If you notice in the first couple of laps I didn't use it because I completely forgot I had it. And it took me actually a little while to figure out what button was mapped to that as we send one up the inside of Max Power there. So Max is going to now just hold it round the outside, and he's going to make a little bit of contact with us, so we're getting a little bit elbows out with Max. Is not shy when it comes to sending one, so we're going to see if we can send another one back on him here up the inside. A little bit of contact again, but good racing, to be honest with you. I've raced Max so many times over the past few years. You know you're going to get a good, hard, clean, fair race. There might be a bit of elbows, but there's never anything dirty or overly aggressive, so all good there with Max, and we're back in the slipstream. So top 10, I'm going to take that so far as a positive, because, well, I didn't expect to move forward in the race, to be quite honest with you, starting in P12, thinking that my race pace would be well off, and you can see it's not great, to be honest with you, at this point. Max is starting to pull away from us quite easily, and by the end of the race we were kind of catching up with Scotty, but we had another half-second penalty to serve, so that kind of put paid to any chances of catching up with those ahead. So finishing P9, that was decent. We'll take that as a win in terms of survival and getting a top 10. You can see in the chat it was kind of buzzing for the next race because Super GT was back in it and he was going from the back again. We set a better qualifying time. We got into the 21s and we found ourselves much further up the grid. And you can see here by the end of lap, by the end of lap 2 in this race, the leader was spectacularly spinning out, and we had found ourselves up to P2. So that was a result as far as I was concerned. You can see that there is the potential then to have some decent racing in this, but if you are in the lead group, you're going to find yourselves like this. Myself and Max, we kind of broke away, we avoided all the chaos, and we just had a kind of normal race. He eventually showed his extra speed and pulled away, opened up a couple of second gap. We were a couple of seconds to P3, so all in all, that one was a fairly uneventful race, but it just shows you if you start near the front, you can have some decent racing and avoid a lot of the chaos. But for the final race of this video, we find ourselves starting in P5, got Max in P6. Again, Super GT was running from last, and this race, all in all, is, it's just slightly more chaotic. We're heading down into turn 1, got Max on our outside again there as we kind of just misjudged the braking. We a little shunt on the car in front. Clearly we came out the worst of everything. Nobody loses it except for Max going off the track there. We pick up a 2-second penalty, which, that's not great. But this one here, I had absolutely no control over. We just went up the inside of the car, which had completely missed the apex, and I pick up a 3-second penalty for that one. So I was not best pleased. I've got 5 seconds worth of penalties, one of which was self-inflicted, the other was just, it's just not fair. But it is what it is. You can see here we're now finding ourselves back in the situation where we're trying to avoid contact with Super GT there. We give him a little tap, but we back out. We don't pick up a penalty for that, thankfully, and we're going to try and survive around here, but with a 5-second penalty up the inside, we're going to just about hold it there, give him the space. But with this 5-second penalty, we are basically thinking this could be the end of the race here. And a 5-second penalty, it honestly feels like, it feels like this.
2 hours later.
It really does feel like that as you watch everybody just sail past, except for one other soul who had a hefty penalty, and gives us something to aim for as we head down towards turn 1. Maybe keep us company in the rest of this race. However, it does get a bit more interesting because, as you can see, skipping forward to the end of lap 2, we've caught back up onto some cars, and in fact we've got Max Power, Super GT, someone else. Now, who's this serving the penalty? It is indeed, it's Super GT. Now we're going to have a run on him here, and we've got a decision to make. Do we go outside or inside? We're going to go up the inside, making a decision at the last second there. Now, going back over on the racing line, but we're wary that he might try and send it round the outside. So out of turn 1 there, get on the boost, make sure he can't overtake, because I know he'll be using his boost to try and get the switch back. So we managed to successfully hold him off there and head round the sweeping left-hander into the sweeping right-handers, and well, back in a race of sorts, because we've got some cars up ahead now which we can focus our attention on moving forward. Now, if we don't battle with Super GT here, we might have a chance of catching them. So this will be interesting to see. If he sends it, he doesn't, he backs off. He's decided, I think, that he's going to try and work with me as we try and get back into this race and get back into at least the midfield of it. And that is a smart strategy, because we've probably got similar-ish pace at this moment. He's probably quicker, but he knows that I'm not the slowest round here, so it's worth not fighting and trying and make something happen on the straight. So if we get onto the straight, we've got plenty of boost, we're going to use it, try and catch up with the cars. The delta's coming down nicely, and you can see here in the rear view we've got Super GT now. He's going to decide now whether or not to go for the move. Now he's closing right in on us, and he is going to go for it now. I decide at this point not to fight it. I'm going to let him take the inside. We're going to tuck in, and we're going to try and use his superior pace to make some inroads in that group in front. You can see how much we've managed to catch up with them now in front, purely by not fighting with each other. And we can round the sweeping right-hander here. And this is an important left-hand, because if you can get a good drive out of here, you can really make some, you can make a good fist of a move coming up into the chicane ahead. So we've got the Frenchman to deal with. He moves over and he's going to let Steve pass. Now I'm going to try and go up the inside as well, but he kind of cuts across and just completely stops. Now he must have dropped down to about 20 miles an hour there, which was just insane. I was not expecting him to come to a standstill as he let Super GT pass, and we pick up a 2-second penalty for it. Now, I'm not going to lie, I was absolutely fuming. I was livid that he just stopped. There was just no need for it. Now, I understand the game giving penalties for things like that, but surely it's got to take into account the speed of the car in front, because that was almost a brake check. I'm sure he didn't mean it, and I'm sure he was just trying to let Super GT pass without causing him any issues, but my goodness, it cost me basically a decent race out of that. And we come round the corner here for the final lap. We'd picked up another half-a-second penalty. So all in all, we've had 7.5 seconds worth of penalties in this race, and our SR is going to be, it's going to be interesting. I think we're going to actually, it's going to drop down to at least A. So yeah, not great, but you can see out there, there's potential for some good racing, and there's potential for chaos. You can see here in the replay, we'll just go through a couple of the incidents here. This was my move on Steve, taking him up the inside, and watch this defence as he gets the switch back on me. You can see here, he's on the boost, so were we though, and we just held off the position there. Now, this was the next lap, and you can see how clean the racing was here, how nice it can be if two people or more decide to have a nice clean race. They know what the cars are capable of, and they know what they're doing. Now, this guy clearly did not know what his brakes were capable of, because look at that, he just basically comes to a complete standstill. If you look at his actual speedometer here, let's see what he drops down to as he lets Super GT up the inside. What's he going to get down to? 23 miles an hour? I mean, it's just, the game should recognise speeds as slow as that and understand that The car in front, or the car behind, can't do anything about that. It's certainly not with these types of pinball physics. But there we are. It was, all in all, some fun racing, and it's always an absolute pleasure when you get in a lobby and you've got one of the, sorry, not one of the biggest and best Gran Turismo content creator. Yeah, it's just fun racing. It makes the whole lobby so much more interesting and so much more fun. You can just sense the atmosphere when you've got the big guys, the big guns like that in your races, so it's always a pleasure. But yeah, if you enjoyed the racing, if you enjoyed the video, if you enjoyed the channel, please hit that subscribe button. It would mean a lot to me. And yeah, we should be live streaming possibly tomorrow, or if it's Friday, today, or we might have already did the live stream. Anyway, we'll be live streaming again, so subscribe to the channel, you won't miss that. But thanks very much for watching, hit the like button, and I'll see you all on the next one. Goodbye.